Hello and welcome to Nightstand Coffee. I'm Todd.
And I'm Jennifer.
And this is Season 1, Episode 7.
Yep.
What are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about the concept of whose grass are you watering?
Okay.
So this is a phrase that I definitely talk about in my counseling sessions about essentially what part of your relationship are you paying attention to? And are you paying attention to your relationship? And so I wanted us to kind of to peel that onion a little bit, talk about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the concept is pretty easy to understand, right? The grass is green where you water it. Things that are nourished and things that are cared for are things that grow and flourish. And the same is true with our marriage relationship.
Right. And I think what ends up happening oftentimes is that we get frustrated in our marriage or relationship, and then we end up seeking comfort elsewhere. And not necessarily with a plan to to cheat or to have a relationship outside of that, of the one you have, but maybe you go to work and you complain to someone about your spouse.
Right.
And so, or you have an old friend that you talk to. And typically I'm talking about someone of the opposite sex. And so then you go and you talk about the frustrations. Like, can you believe they said that? Can you believe they did that? And then that person starts commiserating with you about the things that are going wrong in their relationship. And then you bond over that.
Right.
And then you spend a lot of time talking about what's happening. And then essentially a relationship grows there. And so you start paying more attention to that person. You start sharing more with them. You're looking forward to talking to them. And maybe you're not talking to your spouse either as much or about the same topics.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to become a sexual relationship or an affair of that sort in order to damage your marriage relationship.
Right. Because essentially what happens is that you end up spending more time communicating with this other person than you do with your spouse. And so then the things that you should be giving to your spouse, as far as your feelings, your thoughts, your plans, your laughter, your joke, whatever, you start sharing them with the wrong person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can see the same kind of effect in our spiritual walk, right? If I start giving my attention to things other than Christ to meet a need in my soul, right? So, I rather than going to God and spending time in prayer, and spending time in meditation, and spending time, in solitude and quiet and doing those things that will feed my soul. Well, maybe I drink too much, or maybe I, watch television and just zone out and it doesn't do anything to feed my soul. And in fact, what happens is it starts to draw me away from God and away from the things that really will bring life into me, that will really help me to flourish and grow and succeed. And so then I find myself drifting further and further away from the thing and the person that I should be attending to, that I should be paying attention to, that I should be giving my devotion to, that I should be, all of those things. And so then we wind up in a place that maybe we never intended to be, but sometimes it's, we realize that too late. And so there are things that we should be giving attention to, that we should be, I kind of talk about it in terms of the dashboard on your car. I need to be paying attention to how fast am I going? How hot's the engine running? Do I have enough fuel to get where I'm going? Is the oil light on? Is there, we need to be paying attention to all of those things to ensure that things are running smoothly. And we need to do the same for our marriage, or we end up, broken down on the side of the road.
Right. And so then when I talk about tending your grass, whose grass are you watering? Essentially, are you giving the things to your spouse that you should be, or are you giving them to someone else? And so, I want to reiterate, I don't think anyone sets out and walks out the door and says, I'm going to have a closer relationship with my coworker than I do my spouse.
Yeah.
But oftentimes that happens. And sometimes it's because you spend more time at work,
right?
And then there feels like there's more in common because you're working on the same kind of projects, you're solving the same kind of problems. And so then you spend time together on certain topics, right? And so then it feels easy and natural to spend time with that person. But then what happens is that you're neglecting your grass at home.
Yeah.
So you're basically watering your coworkers' grass. You're telling them things, you're uplifting them, you're checking in on how they're doing. You might be bringing them coffee. You're going to lunch with them. You're spending time nurturing this relationship, all the while at home, you're not doing that. So the grass is getting pretty brown. It's not been watered in a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of crunchy if you walked on it.
Right.
And so like but you don't understand what's happened often because you'll go, wait a minute. Well, see, I don't even talk to my wife anymore. I don't even talk to my husband anymore. Like he's not even interested in what I'm doing. I'm going to go spend time.
Yeah, we're just strangers living in the same house together.
We're roommates, And so, but it's because you're not nurturing or tending to your grass.
Right.
Right. And so if you're giving the same amount of attention to your spouse that you're giving to your coworker or the other person in your life, I'm picking coworker, but it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Just another relationship that you're not married to.
Could be an old boyfriend or girlfriend that you reconnected with on Facebook, or
right.
That friend from high school that you bumped into at the store and then
started texting.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to pay attention to that. So I would encourage everyone to kind of have a self-assessment moment. Like, is there someone in my life that is getting more of me than my spouse is getting?
Yeah.
Am I giving the same love and attention and care to my spouse as I am to my coworker, my ex-boyfriend, this other person that I'm not married to?
And so what are some warning signs? What are some things that people need to look out for or pay attention to know, hey, I need to avoid this before it gets too far?
Well, I mean, my first thought is pay attention to who you want to call first when something happens. Like something bad happens. Who are you wanting to call to complain to? Something good happens. Who are you wanting to call and celebrate with?
Yeah.
Who gets that information first? Now, that's not always a telltale sign because there may be times like that I would want to call my mom first before I call you. But that doesn't mean that I'm nurturing my mother's relationship differently. But there may be a reason that feels more important, for whatever reason. But pay attention to if you're frequently choosing to tell someone the good news, the bad news, the sad news before your spouse. I think that would be a sign.
Well, and I would say especially if you find yourself telling that person things that you're not telling your spouse.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, what information are you sharing with them? I would agree.
Yeah.
Also, where are you spending your time?
Right.
Like, are you neglecting time with your spouse or relationship to prefer time with the other person?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is your spouse sitting at home where you're going and doing something where that person would be, or you're prioritizing your time for that person, going, sorry, I can't go to lunch with you, spouse, because I've got other plans because I've got to work lunch with so-and-so.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're preferring that time, also who you're thinking about, because that's huge too, because who are you sitting there like, reflecting on or wondering what they're doing, who's in your mind about that? Yeah, those are the signs I think I would see. Can you think of any others that you would be concerned about?
I think all of those are good.
Having inside jokes.
Yeah.
I think that can be challenging.
Yeah.
Now let's be fair. Like sometimes in a workplace, there's just inside jokes because you're in but like there shouldn't be an inside joke that you're not willing to explain to your spouse.
Yeah.
And so, this happened. And maybe your spouse doesn't think it's funny or appreciate it, but like there shouldn't be like these secret message inside joke things happening.
Right. Well, and I would say if I'm talking to that person about my spouse, particularly if I'm talking to them negatively about my spouse.
Complaining about?
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing, and it can be a very healthy thing for you to have a friend that you go, hey, Jennifer and we had this disagreement. I need your help to, because I don't want this, I don't want this conflict to stay between my wife and me. Am I wrong? What help me get some different perspective. Man, that can be a really healthy thing. But that's a different thing than if I'm going, can you believe that Jennifer did this? Da 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 da. She's so blah blah blah. Whatever. And trying to get them to commiserate with me, trying to triangulate, so that I can get somebody on my team because I feel like you're against me. That's a completely different thing, and than if I have a friend that I'm looking to for support to strengthen my marriage.
Right. And so then I often will ask myself that question, like if I'm sharing about something, or I encourage my people to ask these questions, like, okay, what's my purpose in sharing this information? Am I trying to get them on my side? If that's the case, then this is a bad reason. If I'm really seeking out someone to like help me process this and figure out what's going on, that's a pretty healthy reason.
Right.
And so like some self-assessment really is warranted to figure out what exactly is it that I'm trying to accomplish in this moment by sharing this.
Yeah.
And so if you feel like there's distance in your relationship, I think it's important to take kind of an assessment of what's going on. Are there things that you're giving to someone else in your life that you should be giving to your spouse or your current relationship?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you need to do some changing.
Well, and I think it's important for us to recognize too that I can't close the distance between you and me, or someone can't close the distance between themselves and their spouse by taking a step toward someone else.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. Good. Yeah.
And so if my first instinct is to run to someone else when there's conflict between me and my spouse, that's a real warning sign. My first inclination should be to take a step toward my spouse, to try and close the gap that's there, to try and reconcile, right? And to engender intimacy, to try and draw close to them again. And so I think that's something that people really should pay attention to.
And then I also think it's important that if all of a sudden you have a moment of, oh, stink, I have been letting someone in my life in a way I shouldn't. I've been spending too much time in this relationship. I've been prioritizing this and I shouldn't be, and it's not my spouse. I think it's important that you take another moment, like step 2 of self-assessment is, what is it that this person gives me that I feel like my spouse isn't giving me?
Yeah.
Because there's likely something happening there. There's some kind of void that person is filling, so that, or you wouldn't be like spending time there. And it could be simply appreciation.
Yeah.
Right? Because like when someone that you're not married to like brings you a coffee in the morning, you're like, oh, that was so nice. Thank you so much. Like, I can't believe you thought of me. That was so good. Right? Well, when your spouse, they're like, thanks. Or even if you get a thanks, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like if someone makes a special trip to Dunkin' for you or whatever it is, like we're more willing to appreciate and be kind to someone that we're not married to.
Yeah. Because you're starving for validation, and maybe you're not getting it from your spouse. And so then if you don't have the kind of relationship where you can honestly go to your spouse about that, and, it's kind of like some of the things that we've talked about before, where if I do something that I want you to notice, I'll just say it. And we weren't always there, and there are a lot of couples that aren't there, and we just tend to expect, well, they'll notice this or they'll say something, and if they don't, then they should know already that we make those assumptions, and so you need to try and create the kind of relationship and the kind of environment where you can say, hey, I mowed the yard. I need you to notice how good I did. Whatever it might be.
Right. And then the third step, I think, would be to have a conversation then with your spouse.
With your spouse,
to say, hey, I noticed that I've been spending too much time with so-and-so, or I've been neglecting our time and I've been prioritizing someone else. And so, when I was asking myself what was happening, I realized that they were giving me X. Yeah. And they were giving me this situation, or they were giving, like, they were laughing at my jokes. They were helping to like relieve the tension that I had. They seemed to validate my feelings.
Right.
Like,
they made me feel important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that takes some self-assessment, but like, or maybe this says, this doesn't feel as high pressure. Like when I talk to this person, like they don't seem to be disappointed in me all the time.
Yeah.
Or complaining about what I'm not doing. And so I've noticed that I'm drawn to spending time there. And so then you're sharing that in the conversation. So I need to come to you and say, hey, I think that I've been watering someone else's grass, in a way that I need to be watering our relationship. And so A, I'm sorry. B, can we work on this?
And that's not easy to do.
No, it's not.
Maybe you're afraid that if you share that kind of thing with your spouse, they're going to be angry. Maybe you're afraid that they're going to think that you're pointing out their flaws or their inconsistencies or failures. Maybe you're afraid that they're going to go, well, why don't you just go be with that person? I don't want you anyway. Maybe you're afraid that it's going to confirm some of the fears that you have in your heart, and so that can be a hard conversation to enter into.
Well, and maybe you're not quite willing to give up that first relationship. As far
that's
as,
true too.
The grass that you're watering, because like it is fulfilling a need within you.
Sure.
And so sometimes it's hard to step away and go, this isn't something I need to be a part of.
Well, I know I've seen it, and I'm sure that you have too in your counseling practice, where there are people who, say they want to save their marriage, but they've got a friend like that's, that they're having an inappropriate relationship with, whether it's sexual or not, and you tell them, hey, you're going to need to cut ties with that person. You're going to need to cut off communication with that person. You need to delete their number from your phone. You need to unfriend them on Facebook. You need to cut, and they go, no, I'm not willing to do that.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's a giant
real red flag.
Yes, giant red flag, and a real concern too. If you're in that place where, like, if you're listening to this today and you're going, oh man, I think I have a person in my life like that, and if you think about cutting them off, and there's a part of you that goes, no, I'm not willing to do that. Well, that's you need to be concerned about that. You need to ask yourself,
right.
why is that the response that you have? Why is that what's in your heart in regard to that relationship over and above the person that you said, I'm going to forsake all others to be with you?
Yes. And so again, no one sets out to do this, right? You don't like decide that you're going to not be mentally loyal to your spouse, right? But I think it happens way easier. It sneaks up on you. It's the whole like the frog in the pot, right? That you when the frog gets in the water's cool, and so you slowly turn the temperature, and so then
it's cooked.
Yeah, you've cooked your frog, and so instead of like trying to put it in the hot water, because if someone like comes in and solicits you. You're like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like they just come straight at you. You're like, no, I'm married. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But that water in the pot, when it just slowly starts to boil and you don't realize what's going on, it's almost like, oh, what just happened?
Yeah. And here's the thing. The person that you married them because you had watered that grass.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Like you had tended to that relationship. You had given time. You've given effort, you've given priority to them, all of those things. And what happens far too often is that people have good relationships. They love each other. They want to be married. They want to spend the rest of their life together. And then they get married and they stop doing all of the things that caused that relationship to flourish in the first place.
Yes.
And it's easy to do because life gets busy. Like, you start, the responsibilities of life, the bills. And if you have children, added to the equation, then that creates another layer of complexity. And, you're both working, and maybe sometimes you're working different shifts and all of that stuff. And you assume, well, we're at home together every day, every evening if you're working the same shift, or we have this day off together, and we have, and you just assume that time together at home is going to be enough, but you're not purposeful in that time. Maybe you're at home together, but you're in different rooms, or maybe you're in the same room, but you're in the room together alone because you're not really talking. You're not really, you just stopped doing the things that you did to make the relationship flourish.
Well, and so this is not a Jen Stanley original. Actually, one of my people said it to me, and I think it's really a good suggestion. She said that she and her husband are working on the 3 Ds, which is to debrief daily. And so talk every day, talk about what's happened through the day, share with that. Date weekly, and then depart monthly. And what the depart monthly is basically that go spend time with your other friends at least once a month.
Okay.
And so as a way to like nurture their relationship and like make sure that every day that there's a touch point, that you're talking in some way about what's going on and share about your day and share what was hard, what was easy, what was frustrating, what silly thing your kid did or your grandkid did, or, what your dog ate, because Lord knows we're talking about what our dog eats all the stuff. Anyway, different episode. And so, and then, dating weekly, like make sure you take time weekly to spend time together. And granted, like you don't necessarily have to go out to dinner every time. Right. But like maybe you go for a walk, like where it's just dedicated time for the two of you. Maybe you sit out on the porch and like, this is our time together. We're going to watch the grass grow or whatever. And like, or you go sit by the water somewhere or any of those things. Go get coffee, go for a car ride.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're purposely together, just the two of you once a week. And then to depart monthly. So make sure that you are getting friendship time away from your spouse. And so that you're building those other relationships same sex relationships as far as friendships.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So that you're not, so you can't go hang out with the person that
that's
that we're saying you're watering the grass.
exactly.
So don't mishear that. Right. And so I think that those are important principles and really a good idea.
Absolutely. I think that's excellent advice.
We need to do better on the dating weekly.
We do. That is not our strongest suit.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
Not in this season. We just
The debrief daily we do really good at.
Yeah.
I think the depart monthly we do pretty good at.
Yeah.
But we're not so good at dating.
Unless we call like meeting to do a podcast. Is this dating?
This is a date.
I don't know. But we're being purposeful and spending time together, so I think that could be true.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had another thought and it left me. Do you have anything to fill in while I try to pull that thought back out?
Well, I just, I want to say that this is not to say that you shouldn't or can't have friends at work or friends who are of the opposite sex, but it means that you need to have some guardrails in place to make sure that those relationships remain appropriate and that they are relationships that encourage and help to strengthen your marriage and not the other way around.
Good.
Anyone in your life if your relationship to them is weakening your marriage in some way is not someone you need to be in relationship with, period.
That's good. I did remember what it was, and it was about dating. And so just a kind of a random idea that a different person that I see had mentioned, but she and her now fiance had made a plan to try all the ice cream shops within like so many mile radius.
Okay.
And so their dates, they don't live near us at all, but so their dates were to try to find a new ice cream shop once a week, and rate it essentially, and decide which one was their favorite. I think that there was 10 of them. I think they got to number 7 and decided that was their favorite. And I haven't heard if they continued to find the other 3, but they were like, that was important to them to have like this purpose. And so that's kind of a neat idea. So like, if you're struggling to know what to do, like find something like that. I mean, it could be go to the local state parks. It could be, it could be to try coffee shops, right? Try all the Italian restaurants or, whatever it would be. All the restaurants that start with the letter A, within the whatever. But, some kind of themed outing to kind of make it more fun. So, because sometimes people get stuck trying to figure out what to do.
Right.
And like, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. And then you're mad at each other because nobody had a plan.
Right. And I would say another option is, because sometimes maybe you guys don't have the same hobbies, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I would really want to do all the coffee shops and Jennifer really wants to do all the ice cream parlors. And, so then maybe we could alternate. Mm-hmm. And 1 month or 1 week, I get to pick a coffee shop, and the next week you get to pick an ice cream shop. And that way we're serving one another in that way. We're getting to invite the other person into what I enjoy. And then I am participating in things that you enjoy, and we meet one another's needs in that way. And also might discover that there are things that we like and enjoy that we weren't even aware of.
Right. Well, and eventually you get to the point too, where like it brings you joy to make your spouse feel excited about things and like, feeling like they're being valued. And so, like, he's going to like this, he's going to like coffee, or, we're going to try this out. And so like, just being able to bring joy to the situation, it feels very different. It's very self-sacrificing in that going, like, no, I may not be excited about listening to live music, but you're going to be all about that.
Exactly.
So I will do it.
Yeah. And then both parties are getting their needs met, which is what marriage should be about, that we are seeking to meet the other person's needs.
Mm-hmm. What do we do that I like that you're not crazy about?
Bingo.
Oh yeah, I do love that. We haven't gone in a long time.
We haven't.
We need to go.
Yeah.
We need to go play Old Lady Bingo. Stay tuned. We can't do it this weekend because I'm gone, but we'll figure. We need to go because like our freedom's over. You just opened a door, man. You said it. Man. You said it loud.
Yeah. I've gone before, and I would go again just for you.
I do enjoy bingo.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I was like, what is it? Because I feel like I go to museums with you, and definitely live music things with you.
Yeah.
I don't. Those are the things. I would go fishing with you. We haven't done that.
We haven't done that in a long time. We should.
Yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do.
I love to go fishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't like to be hot.
Yeah,
we just have to do it when we're not going to be sweating. So, any other thoughts about that, like watering grass or tending to your relationship anything else that you would want to add to it? Any other like spiritual implications that you wanted to make?
Well, I think, I think we can see the kind of fruit of this if we look into the scriptures. And of course, it's a little bit different because Jacob was married to both women, right? He was married to Leah and Rachel, and I don't recommend that
True.
as a way
We're
of
not
doing
prescribing
things.
that.
Right. But what we do see is that, Jacob is married to Leah, and then he gets, anyway, the point being, he's showing all this attention to Rachel. And Leah grows very jealous. And Leah grows in that relationship, and so then there's all kinds of things that happen anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that, other than to say we can see the kind of turmoil that causes in a family when we're giving attention to one person and, and
not
to the
else.
exclusion. Well, and to the exclusion of a person that we should be giving attention to.
Yeah. Okay. So
That may not be that's not a direct like correlation, but that's the thing that came to my mind.
yeah. Well, think about it this way. You could flip it on its head to say if I'm spending time with a coworker and I notice how much attention I'm giving to them. Okay. Then you think, okay, if my husband or wife were doing that, how would I feel about that? How would I feel about all this time that they're spending or all these things that they're sharing? Like if the shoes were on the other foot, I feel pretty darn confident that you'd be like, that is not okay.
Yeah.
Like you would feel cheated on, at least emotionally cheated on, right? Like, why is this person getting all these pieces of you that you're not giving to me?
Yeah.
And so like, I want to very, very clearly state that like, if your marriage is suffering and this is happening, that's why, right? Because you're not watering the grass. You're not tending to what you need to be tending to. And so, stop, change it up. Right.
And look, hey, if you're the spouse, if your spouse is the one who's having a work relationship or friend relationship or whatever that
is watering someone else's grass.
Yeah, if your husband or wife is watering someone else's grass and you're noticing it, you're feeling that disconnect, man, don't hesitate to say, hey, this is concerning to me.
Yeah.
And not in an accusatory way and not in a, an angry way or a way that's going to cause, greater divide, but in a way that says, hey, I'm seeing,
right.
You guys are talking a lot, you guys are texting a lot, all that kind of stuff.
I'm concerned.
Well,
and so then what I think that the receiving spouse needs to understand, it's like they don't need to get defensive in that.
Yeah.
They need to take a minute and do some self-assessment and go, okay, so is there any truth to this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, so my spouse is saying this, they're noticing. Don't get defensive. Just go, okay, so could this be true? Because sometimes we get too close to it. It's, we can't see the whole picture. And so then again, when the water's starting to boil, we don't feel it getting warm because we're in it. And so then you may not notice what's going on. And so sometimes you need someone to kind of poke at you and say, hey, this isn't good. And so don't deny it. Just go, okay, I'll think about that. I'll try to pay attention to that. And then also, you can get one of your friends to hold you accountable. Say, hey, I've been noticing that I've been talking to so-and-so too often.
Right.
Will you check in with me about that? Can you ask me about it? Because I think I need to pull back. I think I can tell that I'm giving more of myself to them than I am to my spouse. And so can you ask me how that's going? And if it's a coworker that works with you and say, hey, if you notice that I'm spending time, like call me out on that.
Yeah.
Like employ your friends. That's the point of like living in community, is have people to help you out.
Yeah. And here's some things I think that you can pay attention to. Right? Especially if it's a coworker. Am I texting them outside of work hours?
About non-work things.
Yeah. Or even, am I looking for excuses to text them about work things? Right? Things that could wait until tomorrow, but I get excited about texting them, and so I'm looking for reasons to text them. Are there those inside jokes that I'm sharing with this person that, do I get a sense of excitement when I see that I've got a message from them? Do I look forward to them coming by my desk at work every day? Do I attend to their needs in a way that I don't attend to my spouse's needs? Or
to other coworkers' needs.
Yeah.
Like, is there a special bond here that other people would pick up on because like you're treating them differently than someone else?
Yeah.
Those are all good things.
Am I saying things to them that I wouldn't want my spouse to know that I'm saying?
Right. Am I deleting text messages? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
for sure. Man, so I think I want to be really clear and say I think this happens a whole lot. Like I don't think, again, no one sets out to do it, but don't be surprised if this has happened at some point in your life. Because
Right.
I think it sneaks up on you. It's easy to do. So like you're not alone in that. That's why we're able to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And so, but here's your ginormous stop sign that if you want things in your marriage to be different, then you need to be making sure that you're watering the right grass.
yeah.
Okay. So I think next time I want to talk about like how do you care for your spouse?
Okay. Well, do we want to give guys some homework?
I think I did.
Oh, did you?
Yes, in the middle of it.
Oh,
Don't make me recap. I don't remember, but I know I said, here's the 3 things you need to do.
okay. Well, yeah, the 3 Ds.
Well, that was
yeah.
one of the things. I said several, but it's gone. I'd have to go back and think. It was
Okay.
in the moment. I was with it. And so to basically assessing where you're at, if you're spending more time, like we've done a lot of homeworky things.
Okay.
So I didn't write them down. They were off the cuff in the moment.
I didn't either. I guess you guys will have to listen to this episode again.
Right. Maybe we'll put a disclaimer. Listen for the homework. It's in the middle of the conversation. Okay. So we're going to let you go and we'll talk next time about how to care for your spouse
Tagline here.
that we still don't have. See you later.
See you next time.